is not a voice that can be taken away.
All right, we have about 30 minutes to go, but I want to bring in Boss on this and talk about the CS nominees. Was it necessary to get serving politicians to get to that docket of CSs?
No, I mean, when you say was it proper, I think the president is free to appoint whom he thinks can support his agenda in order to deliver on his promise to Kenyans and his plan for Kenya. And so there is nothing illegal about it. It has happened in the past. It happens all the time. You may find that even if someone was known to be somebody who might go, because the negotiation for who becomes CS was not confirmed until the announcement was made. So someone couldn't be told, don't run, because you know, we are guaranteeing you the position, because it was a negotiation process with the entire team up to the last minute. So you couldn't hold the person, even though they were in the radar as a candidate. But also strategically, there are some people you want out there first to go and help you campaign and get the presidency so that you can be able to appoint ministers. So, you know, you look at people like Honorable Alice Wahome. Many of us have always supported the fact that she should become a CS. But we couldn't get her off the campaign trail because she had to be a candidate to deliver the votes, which she did for Kenya Kwanza. So it's a strategy that you have to do. So it's nothing illegal, but you also have to look at what is the best way to get to where you want to get.
Yeah, but Kinyua Musyoki says a big percentage of our elected leaders have active court cases. The president had to wear a blindfold to Chapter 6 when picking cabinet nominees. Members of the committee on appointment will probably wear the same blindfold.
I think, first of all, why do people forget the law? Kenyans say this all the time, and I've repeated it so much on these shows, that every Kenyan is innocent until proven guilty. And you're innocent until you've exhausted all appeals right to the Supreme Court. I was elected when I had an active corruption case. Yeah, and the issue is I cannot be victimized for something that I have not been confirmed to have committed. And eventually, those charges were found to be fictitious and confirmed by no less than the Supreme Court. Imagine if that had curtailed my political ambition and for the service that I wanted to give to this country. Imagine the injustice that would have been done to the people of Uasin Gishu County and injustice to me as a person. So I actually take that extremely seriously. Remember, those are allegations. Those persons are innocent. Our president, Uhuru Kenyatta, and William Ruto, as deputy president, as he then was, were also elected when they had a case in the International Criminal Court. They are considered innocent until proven guilty. And by the way, that is one of the most, it's human rights sanctity. You cannot, if we have a situation where all I have to do is make an allegation against Senator Ludama, and after that, his life is on hold until he's proven guilty. That's why we have a court process. And you will see one of the findings by the Supreme Court on my case was that the Judicial Service Commission have been told that they must come up with regulations on how to remove someone from office legitimately. So this is something that as Kenyans, if we really believe in human rights, we must stop saying those things. And even as yourselves, as the media, I think talk to your legal, you must have a legal advisor here, or a legal company secretary. Tell him to tell you that, so that all of you can stop saying that.
I think
in fact, if it was in another country and you made those, if you don't make a disclaimer as you make that statement, actually, this media house can end up going bankrupt. No, if it was America or Europe.
So here's the thing, Deputy Speaker. Nobody's refuting the fact that you're innocent until proven guilty. What we are saying is, can you pick other people who don't have any cases to answer as those ones did?
Then that will be playing, that will be already, you'll have declared them guilty before they are proven, before they are found guilty. You'll have preempted that. So that is something you must not, it's not even on the table during the considerations, because those people are innocent. That is the law. And if there are law, yes. So that is the law. Should they be found guilty at some point, then what will happen is there is mechanisms for removal. Similarly, when there was the allegation by Uhuru Kenyatta that some of the judges, he would not appoint them because he had cases, because he had some information and allegations against them. again, the position the judiciary took, and again it was litigated, the judiciary said, these persons are innocent until proven guilty.
Okay.
And if the president had information about them, then the proper way, because they were sitting judges, was for him to start a petition for establishment of a tribunal for their removal.
All right.
Let me
Ledama, this only seems to apply to legislators like yourselves. Because, for example, if it was someone like me, if I have a case today, there's no media house that would employ me until I'm innocent. It doesn't matter.
Let me put it differently. I think we need to have a conversation on a meter of integrity, and also how do we scrutinize Chapter 6? Because there seems to be some sort of double standard. When you come to the issue of the DPP, when he is trying to investigate or prosecute, county governors,
yes,
the courts have agreed with the DPP to allow him to put these guys out of the office until the matter has been heard. Then we come back again and say, we have all subscribed to the principle of innocent until proven guilty. So what are we saying? Are we saying that we can be selective to where we apply justice? During the last parliament, I went to court because of Kiambu and Samburu. Lucky enough, the court agreed with me that Article 179 is quite clear, that if the governor is not there, then the deputy governor can be able to serve. So here's what we need to ask ourselves. This conversation that we must have is that, first of all, what the president has done is that it is a paradigm shift from technocrats to politicians. So if you want these politicians who I have no problem with, I know most of them, if they have some questionable characters or some issues, like we all know, this is not something that Ledama is saying. Like the Honorable Aisha Juma, there is a case, a murder case. How should we treat that? Then you have a corruption case with a governor. Then you can tell that governor not to step anywhere close to, to the county. So really we have to be very, very clear. So in my view, I think one thing that the president has come out as is a person who rewards loyalty. He's very loyal to his friends. And maybe he's looking into the future and saying, I will need these people again when I run for re-election. So maybe he's got a long, short plan. But the question is, are we able as parliament to be different? Because when you read a tweet from a citizen saying that the president sort of like, what was it?
Blindfold.
Blindfolded, on the issues of Chapter 6. Is the assumption of is the committee going to be able to, or what do you call that committee? The selection committee. Yeah. Is it going to be able to do the same thing? So I think we just need to be very practical here. The day that we in Parliament are going to do our job, divorced of any influence by the executive, the day we are going to remember that we are a legislative arm of government, that it starts to make legislation, but not to become an extension of the executive, is the day that we're going to make progress.
Yeah.
If you saw my tweet, I said, approve them all. Why? Because the president wants to deliver on his mandate. If he believes that he's going to deliver his mandate on the people who have questionable characters, on politicians rather than technocrats, I will do my job. I will scrutinize it. I will be able to make sure that I criticize, I correct all the mistakes that they make. And one of the things that the president should do, instead of saying, and I have to go back to this, you'll forgive me for that, instead of saying that cabinet secretary should be able to appear before, you should mandate them to comply with the Constitution. The same Article 153, if you read 153(4)(b), it says that cabinet secretary shall provide Parliament with regular reports concerning the matters of their tasks.
Yeah.
So if they can be tabling that on a quarterly basis, then of course we can be able to pick questions that we might have there, send them, and then when they are submitting their quarterly report, they can then be able to say, during the last quarter, Parliament raised the following questions.
Yeah.
Okay? So finally, on this point, it is up to the president. You choose your bed and you lay on it.
Yeah.
It is up to him. If you've seen that Linturi, who is my very good colleague, is the one who can be able to deliver on his policies on agriculture, so be it.
Okay. But speaking of questionable character, Ledama, even you were seen at the Bomas of Kenya taking matters into your own hands. Was that character?
Give me a breathing break.
Senator?
You know, I think that is a matter that you shouldn't, you should compare apples to apples. Because if you were there, actually what I was doing then is that I was acting as a Kenyan who wanted to know the truth. That's it. You know, it's not about questionable character. You cannot compare apples to oranges. Compare apples to apples. Am I seeking to become the cabinet secretary of constitutional matters? No. The issue that I was asking there is that, can you show us the results? That's it.
Allow me to comment on something.
No, let me just finish.
If you
It's actually, I actually
I'm not opening it.
I actually feel a little bit violated by you asking that question. You know, sort of like,
was in the public.
you know, call me here and let's debate that issue. Yeah. But don't call me here when we're discussing other important things that we're moving forward and taking me back. It is a very painful process for me, okay? I could have been killed there. Yeah. So don't bring me back there. If you're asking me questions about what the ordeal of that day, I'm willing to debate you for 10 hours.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think, Trevor, it's important. Let me just explain. I think that's what I'm saying, Trevor. It is extremely important that we know when it is allegations and when it is a confirmed conviction. Because, as you say, Senator Oledema will tell you that there were videos of him being violent and that and all. But even I, who's sitting here with him and who was in Bomas and had issues with it, I'm not going to accuse him of having done those things until he is convicted by a court of law, because I respect the rule of law. And I say this with such strong conviction because personally,
you also
I'm just saying, even my own history with being allegations being made against you, I nearly lost my own life. I completely derailed my career, which was doing very well. I would probably be in the Supreme Court now. And if I wasn't a God-fearing person, I'd probably be in Mathare Mental Hospital. So people shouldn't take this issue of making allegations about people as something whatever. If I didn't have a supportive family, I would be completely destroyed today and would be a mental case. Right. So it is not something that people should take lightly, and I hate to see anyone make allegations about people which are unsubstantiated.
All right, Jack.
Sorry, Madam Speaker. Sorry, you know, we support that due process.
Yep. Yes,
must guide this. But on the Honorable Lekina issue, actually his life was in danger. This man would have died in Bomas. And you see, matters of elections, losing and winning are very emotive. Okay? I will leave it there. But just to weigh in on what Honorable Lekina was saying, why say, for instance, we must harmonize how we react to the Constitution. Why say Governor Jamong, who's been alleged to have stolen 4 million, okay, cannot step in the office, while Honorable Aisha Juma, who is in for murder, accused for murder, is a cabinet minister. So my point is that we should just harmonize how our reaction to the Constitution. Now, on the cabinet, the president promised us 50-50 women. Where are they? Where are they? Simple fact, tell us. 6 is not 11. Far too low. 2, this is a hustler's government. For sure. Expected to see a hustler, in quotes, in this government. As an inspiration, no, just a minute. Madam Speaker, you are now bullying me. Now, you know you are using a good office. Madam Speaker.
My apologies. I'll protect you from myself.
Now, in the sense of it, when we say hustlers, there are very many young border guys who are graduates, who have very nice papers, who've gone to school properly. Why didn't you motivate them? Because you are hustlers, government. Now, the president said, as it should be, that he is the president of everyone. Okay? He's the president of every Kenyan.
Yeah.
Where is the regional balancing in this thing? I want a person who voted 257,000 votes from Bungoma County feel the same as a person who voted 77,000 in Kilifi County. Okay? So where is the regional balancing? That you take 7 positions in one region. Okay? And in all fairness, you know, we must be truthful to ourselves as Kenyans so that now we start seeing these things as they are. And we must say them as they are. You take 7 positions into a region, one region. Okay? And you take 1 position into another region. Okay? How would those guys, for instance, let me speak on behalf of Western Province. How do we feel? Then you move and say, you've given the house of Mulembe, our big brother Musalia Mudavadi, is called a prime cabinet minister without portfolio, right? And give him a PS whose budget is purely administrative, okay? So for me, this is kind of a hoax to the Mulembe nation. And it's just exactly like what at one time Mwai Kibaki came into government, appointed Wamalwa Kijana. Let me finish. Appointed Wamalwa Kijana as vice president without portfolio. People said, no, if this is how you take us, then take it. Or give him a portfolio. And that was done at that time. Okay. So looking at Musalia's, the president moved to assign duties. And if you are keen, the duties assigned to deputy president, you know, away from his normal duty of being the principal assistant to the president, and compare them with what was assigned to Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, for us, in behalf of the Luhya nation, tumetoka mo free.
Okay. Wangari, on the CSS nominees.
First of all, it's not an easy job that the president has, because you only maybe have 22 slots. You have 47 counties. Every county wants a CS, including my own. Every ethnic tribe or group will want to be represented. And out of these 22 slots, you cannot fit everybody. So it definitely isn't an easy thing to do. But I think this is one of the cabinets that has been, you know, people have commented and said it's one of the best in terms of trying to balance from gender, from, of course, we still expect more. Even for the PSAs, the government is big. It's not just the CSS. There are many other positions that are going to come. So I think it's not an easy thing to do. But on the issue of Chapter 6 and the integrity chapter, and I think I want to agree with what Honorable Shole, and the reason she's emotional about it is because what character assassination does to you is irreversible. Someone will say something that you embezzled 4 billion. You will clean your name for the rest of your life, whether it's true or not. And the moment it's out there, you're not able to take it back. So how do you balance the issue of witch hunt, the issue of political suppression, the issue of competition, because I want to put you down so that I look better than you, or I am able to get a position that you miss out. But what they don't realize is that even these leaders have families. They have lives. You ruin families just because of witch hunt. So it's a matter of getting to deal with witch hunt. And that's why the law is clear in terms of innocent until proven guilty. But more importantly, we have institutions in this country, even for these CSs. By the time they come to Parliament, we will require them to produce original documents. The issue of citizenship has been addressed in Parliament. Even when we are vetting ambassadors in the 12th Parliament, we will ask you for proof of citizenship. We will ask you for an EACC clearance from the Anti-Corruption Commission. We will ask you for a DCI good conduct generated by an independent office in this country. Why do we fund these institutions then? Because they should be able to deal with an issue before it gets to Parliament. Because if you don't have a clearance of good conduct, when you come to Parliament, it will become an issue. If you don't have a clearance from HELB, it will become an issue. If you don't have a clearance from EACC, it will become an issue. So we have very many points and very many levels to deal with these issues before they get to Parliament. But when you come to Parliament and these original documents are genuine and they are verifiable, then people will have no reason apart from what we'll hear from the media or from the court processes, we will wait. And when you're proven that you have committed a crime, then you will be required to step aside. And the same parliament that vetted you will be the one in the forefront to say you should step aside if you have been convicted. So I think we must have standards, and the threshold has been set through these very independent bodies. So if you get cleared there, then someone will have no reason not to clear you at the parliamentary level.
All right, we're running out of time here, but I'll give you a chance for closing remarks, each starting with the Deputy Speaker. At least you're smiling now, so it means everything is all right.
No, I always smile. I don't let anyone put me down. I think we are starting a new season, and I think I would appeal to Kenyans, appeal to my colleagues. I know there is a feeling that if you're in the opposition, you must always not agree with government. But doesn't mean that you can agree with them when they do something right, but you can disagree with them when they do something that you feel is wrong.
Yeah.
And so we are looking forward to a parliament that is going to be robust, that people are actually going to be, you know, parliament should not be prohibitive for government programs. It should be facilitative. So if government wants to run a certain program, provided it's well thought out and it is not harming the people we represent, it is going to be for their good in the long term, then you support it. I know some people wondered with the issue of supporting the removal of the fuel subsidy, you know, it's a consumption subsidy. If you look at that, we were not paying for that subsidy, actually. We were just incurring debt to the oil companies. And one day, the oil companies would not be able to fund the subsidy. And what would happen? Then we would not be able to pay them as a government. And what would happen? We'd have fuel shortages, then there would be oil in the black market, and then the whole country was going to suffer. It's better to have fuel that is slightly expensive, but available. But we don't want a situation where we are a country, you have cars, but you have no fuel. So sometimes there's going to be painful decisions. It's going to hurt a little, but things will get better as we go ahead. And for me, that's my appeal to Kenyans. It's my appeal to my colleagues.
Yeah.
In the legislature.
Parliament.
I think Senator Lodama, you as the Senate now should sit as the Ministry of Devolution.
Okay.
Senate can actively, in fact, you will be so busy, each of the days you're not in Parliament, you'll be in another county. Because you people have to set foot in those counties, go and help ensure transition. There are some counties where when you say, and rightly so, that most of the money has not been devolved, but the function has been devolved. What do? You people can go on a round of moving, split yourselves into teams as the Senate, go to county by county, and ensure that it happens. That you guys are now summoning, you can summon Ministry of Health and say, that money must move out. So if Parliament, if Senate is active, devolution can in fact be, you can kill it, you can sort out this issue of transition within the next 12 months, I believe.
Okay. Ledama, closing remarks. And I'd also like to hear your views on a tweet that you sent earlier on in terms of ODM and the restructuring. Is there a need for restructuring there? You didn't mention restructuring.
Can we focus on what we're dealing with?
There's never enough time to talk about all these issues one at a time.
I think we will come here and
when you
talk about
move
those
on.
other issues. I think in terms of my closing remarks, let me pick it up from where my sister has left it. One of the things that I agree with President Ruto is that there is no need of having a devolution ministry. In fact, he has given those roles to his deputy. The most important thing is for us to be able to see how do we relate. I've always been on the view that the intergovernmental agency should be fully funded so that it can become an independent institution that can be able to handle matters that relates to the two governments. You know, one of the things that I don't agree with the Council of Governors is them themselves funding the Council of Governors. That should be funded by the intergovernmental body. And I think now that the president is thinking of putting that role under his deputy, I think that will be able to help us be able to demystify that issue. Number two, I think it is important for us in Parliament to realize that there's no opposition in Parliament. We are all legislators who are supposed to be able to oversight government. In the National Assembly, you oversight the executive. In the Senate, we oversight county governments. I don't agree with my sister that the missing link in devolution is the National Assembly not being there. I think what we need to do is to find an avenue. And I think the governor of Nandi, Sang, had proposed a bill where the senator was supposed to chair, and it was highly controversial. I think now what we need to do is to sit down together and say, Mheshimiwa Wangari, the people from Nakuru, come together, work together as legislators, and then work with the governor, work with the senator, see where the challenges are. We must continue, subscribing to the principle of separation of powers. Our job as legislators is to make laws. Our job is not to go out there and dish out bursaries to our citizens. What we need to do is to empower our county governments. And we sit in a meeting with all the leaders and say, how many children need to be supported here? And we ensure that those kids, if they are from my dear sister's constituency, she gives out the entire list, and she ensures that because she's sitting there, that those kids are given that bursary they deserve. Secondly, in terms of the Senate, in the last parliament, I sponsored a legislation called County Government Accountability Bill, which passed the Senate twice because of that issue that we had back and forth with the National Assembly. I think now with our standing orders allowing for co-sponsoring, I'll be calling upon my dear sister here so that we can co-sponsor that to ensure that the Senate does its own job. Because what we really need to do is to help citizens understand the budget making process. Finally, this has to come to the issue of on-source revenue. I want to call upon KRA. I want to call upon the other independent institutions. Like for a case of Narok as an example. For every tourist who enters Masai Mara, the amount of money that Narok County gets, if a tourist is living inside the park, they will pay $70 a day. If it is 3 days, it's $210. That tourist staying in the park will spend a minimum of $1,500 for the 3 days. Out of that, 16% of that revenue should go to KRA. So the same amount that Narok County is getting, $210, is what KRA should be able to get. I think we can be able to increase our own revenue. We can also be able to increase revenue that we collect as a country if we are diligent, if we work together, the executive and the county government and the institutions which are there. Okay. I don't believe that it is time for us to privatize government agencies like the Kenya Pipeline Corporation or the Kenya Ports Authority. I think those are institutions that require, a lot of support from the government. They also require all citizens to be able to understand what it is that they do so that we have a better future in this country. And finally, I want to call upon the president to move expeditiously to ensure that the police service is adequately equipped. The police are living in really very, very terrible conditions.
Okay.
They need to give them housing. You need to engage, what are they called? Development agencies. Find a way to get loans which are interest-free for you to be able to support the police. Help them. They can be independent, and it will help us. Okay. Otherwise, I think it is time for us to oversight this executive. And I want to call upon, don't support them too much. Let's oversight.
Okay, Wanami.
Oversighting could also support.
Okay.
We must oversight this government. For me, I think let's support President Ruto to deliver on his promises. Let's create a conducive atmosphere as a parliament, so that our people are suffering out there. Our people are in a lot of sufferings. So we will support. I'll be part of the team that will support the president to achieve what he has promised us, so that for the sake of our people. But there's a matter I want to urge the government to very quickly move and address. We are becoming less competitive because of the main highway, Nairobi, Malaba, Busia. Okay, trailers are taking too long to be cleared at the port, and if you talk to them, most of them now are opting to use the Tanzania route. So let's very quickly finish to construction of roads, the main corridors around that area, so that we can have easy flow of these trailers, so that we, as a country, remain competitive.
All right.
Okay?
All right. Wangari, closing remarks.
Thank you. I think I'll just speak from what Senator Ledama has spoken about. I agree. By the way, there is no opposition in Parliament. We must now do our work in terms of legislation, oversight, and in terms of representing our people. That one we must do, and we must do together. But the issue that I spoke about comes up from looking outside ourselves, even in terms of legislation. And I say that because I've been lucky to sit in the Senate, I've been lucky to sit in the National Assembly. Those people who were, when we were in the Senate in the 11th Parliament, they were opposing anything Senate says. But when they sat in the Senate, in the 12th Parliament, the same people were now begging National Assembly to support the Senate. So I think the issue is, I asked this question when I went to the council, to the governor's induction in Mombasa. I asked Senator Sang, Governor Sang, would you propose the same thing you proposed as a senator when you're sitting as a governor? So we must make laws that we are not going to be there forever. There are people who will come after us. So make a law that even when you're not there, it will work. There are people now who oppose CDF in the Senate just because it is for the National Assembly. There are those in the National Assembly who oppose the Senate because it's going to be a competition. At the end of the day, we are serving the same people. And the reason I say the missing link is the National Assembly, the policies that undermine devolution, most of them don't go to the Senate. They come to the National Assembly. If there is no voice that is pro-devolution in the National Assembly, these things will keep coming. The budgets keep coming to the National Assembly. The health budget that he's talking about comes through the National Assembly. So these voices must be together, because at the end of the day, devolution is for all of us. And finally, the one thing I'm hoping that this government, and to see from the national government and the executive, is the health issue, the universal health care, because I think people have suffered quite something and quite a long time in terms of health issues. Every day, I don't think there's any member of parliament here without 10 WhatsApp groups raising money for health, raising money for funerals, raising money to get bodies from I don't know where. I think it is a sad situation, because even the small earnings people are making are ending up just going to the hospitals. Yes, yeah. Today, I'm going to Requiem Mass. A young man called Otieno Ouma from my constituency. He, died from cancer, very young man in his teens, but we cannot raise the money. The family cannot raise the money. So I hope that we'll restructure NHIF in a very serious way through Parliament and through the executive, that we make it working, that even if you're suffering from cancer, they are able to cover the bills, so that we're able to deal with the issues that we are dealing with. The issue of foreign countries, people suffering in Saudi Arabia. Right now, we have a committee in Parliament for migrant workers and for foreign relations. We must get to the bottom of this. Every day, today I'm trying to bring a body of Miriam Jerry from Saudi Arabia, a young mother of 3 who has died. So we have a lot on our plate. And I think yesterday was the opening that now from Tuesday, we get rolling. Committees be constituted. Let us do the work we should do to make lives better for our people.
All right. Thank you so much for making time. Let's squeeze in some of the feedback. That a lot of it is coming through. I wonder how many we can squeeze in really quick. At Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya using the hashtag Daybreak. Let's read some of them real quick as we wind up on this conversation and make way for DJ Gigi. Dixon will watch. Says, ask Sholei what happens when they are found guilty later. Who refunds the taxpayers' money? Why carry out 4 by-elections and waste taxpayers' money? We have 49 million Kenyans. Okay, let's go to the next one. Remy Butia says, President William Ruto has a perfect chance of giving Kenya the messianic visionary it has always craved, the one to lead it to the elusive and transcendental Canaan land and breathing life into a local economy. Okay.
They read Shakespeare.
Dalo says, Kenya has become like the Roman Empire, where the king gave people positions based on who supported him, not by their virtue. Watch how Kenya falls. Okay.
Pessimist.
Kinyo Mushoki says, started from expensive fuel now to 300 billion spending cut that will be felt by Kenyans. The president might tighten Kenya's economy belt so much that he might paralyze its legs. Laxity of parliament will allow punitive executive orders. Okay. Lane Muhongo says, very brilliant, Ruamboka, they are mentioning of the big elephant in the house, corruption. That's where we need to start from, okay? Okelo Mwalimu says, President's advisors must guide him through economic transformation plan to ensure that he doesn't gamble. Any miscalculated move would plunge our already hemorrhaging economy into a ditch. Parliament must move with speed to pass laws aimed at lowering cost of living. Oringe Waswa says the president ought to have pronounced clear and strong measures that were to conclusively deal with or slay the ugly head of graft, because the presence of the same corrupt practices largely hinder growth and development. Daniel Juma says the president should restrict non-essential foreign trips and excessive per diem by public officials, which is very wasteful. All right? Thank you so much for making time this morning. Honorable Gladys Boss, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Ledama Olekina, Senator for Narok, Honorable Wanami Wamboka, Member of Parliament for Bumula, and Honorable Martha Wangari, Member of Parliament for Gilgil, for speaking to us this morning. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, DJ Gigi's on the decks. It's a Gospel Friday. It's a praying nation anyway, right? See you in a bit.